This is our Chapter 7, Lesson 2B. So this is really not a part of our textbook, but it's something that we have to learn about, and it fits in really well with Lesson 2. So this is called angle pairs formed by parallel lines cut by a transversal. And that's a pretty intense name, but it's not too intense of a lesson. So the first thing we need to know is what a transversal is. A transversal is a line that passes through two or more other lines. So if we look here, we've got two lines and a third line that passes through it. This third line is our transversal. Here we've got three lines and a third line passes through it. That third line that crosses through all of them is called the transversal. And when a transversal cuts through lines, we end up with lots of different angles. You can see an angle here, here, here. Here's another angle, angle 5, angle 6, angle 7, and angle 8. So when one transversal passes through two lines, we get 8 angles. When one transversal passes through 3 lines, we get 12 angles. And we're going to focus on what kind of angles are formed when these transversals cut through lines. So this is not a part of your notes. This is something that you just need to kind of pay attention to, listen to, follow along with. I want to talk to you about something called corresponding angles. In corresponding angles, if we take a look at my image here, I've got two lines. The transversal cuts through them. Line O is my transversal. And something special about these two lines is shown with these two markings here. Those markings tell us that lines M and N are parallel. That'll come in more important, it'll be more important in a minute or two. When we have the transversal cut through these two lines, we can see we have 8 different angles that are formed. If you take notice to the angles that match up color-wise, these angles are called corresponding angles. In fact, the word corresponding means matching. So, corresponding angles are angles that sit in matching positions. And I can prove that to you by taking my top 4 angles here and sliding them down over the bottom 4 angles. Do you see how angle 1 and angle 5 matched up? Angle 2 and angle 6, angle 3 and angle 7, angle 4 and angle 8. That's what makes them corresponding. Their positions match. Their positions correspond. Okay? That's corresponding angles. Another type of angles that form when we cut lines with a transversal are called alternate interior angles. Well, alternate is a word that means opposite. Interior means inside. So for alternate interior angles, we're looking at angles on the inside of the parallel lines, and they're going to sit opposite each other or alternate of each other. That's why angle 3 and angle 6 are both red. Angle 4 and angle 5 are both blue. These are alternate interior angles. They sit on the inside of the parallel lines, and they sit opposite or diagonal from each other. Our third type of new angles today are alternate exterior angles. You already know that alternate means opposite, and I hope that you know that exterior means outside. So now we're looking at angles that sit on the outside of the parallel lines, and they sit opposite or diagonal from each other. So angle 1 and angle 8 are alternate exterior, and angle 2 and angle 7 are also alternate exterior angles. So the first thing you have to do is familiarize yourself with these 3 sets of vocab words: corresponding angles, alternate interior angles, and alternate exterior angles. The next thing you need to know is our very, very, very important note, and this is what's so very important about those 3 types of angles. When a transversal cuts through lines that are parallel lines, Then corresponding angles, alternate interior angles, and alternate exterior angles are going to be congruent. So let's take a look back at our examples here. Notice, like I said from the beginning, our two lines, M and N, are parallel lines. So when we take our corresponding angles and we slide them down, we can see that angle 1 matches up with angle 5. But we can also see that their angles overlap perfectly. Their angles are exactly the same size. Same goes for angle 2 and angle 6, angle 4 and angle 8, angle 3 and angle 7. And it's because these lines are parallel that those angles are congruent. So corresponding angles are congruent if these two lines are parallel. Alternate interior angles. Angle 3 and angle 6, take a look at them. They're both acute. They're both pretty high degree acute angles, probably in the 70s. And they're the same size. Same for angle 4 and angle 5. They're both obtuse. They're low degree obtuse angles, probably in the 100s. And they are also congruent because these two lines are parallel. Alternate exterior angles. Look at angle 1, look at angle 8. They're both obtuse angles. They are probably both in the low hundreds. So they are congruent. Angle 2 and angle 7, they're both acute angles, probably both in the 70s. They are congruent as well, and it's all because these two lines are parallel. Big important note here, so make sure you understand that. Your assignment tonight, I want you to do questions 1 through 6 on page 4. That will get you practicing on the idea of practicing your vocab, alternate interior, alternate exterior, and corresponding. Do your Google form, and then I really think you should make in those flashcards for all of our vocab. You should have 7 flashcards for this chapter. The 4 we did in the past 2 lessons and the 3 new ones today.